Okay, first of all, this video is practically a guide on how to not run an airline. You get to watch me make the dumbest mistakes ever. And not to mention, do not try this at home, or if you have an airline. Welcome to episode 5. Our bank balance is a healthy $1.5 million, thanks to our 2-hour DC-910 flights. Now, I read somewhere in the guide that planes can crash without maintenance, so my dumbest mistake number 1 was repairing flights. I repaired one of the Boeing 727s and then departed a lot more planes to get them to the hub. I learned later that doing A-checks also repairs the plane, and I should wait till the plane needs one. I also claimed the bi-weekly prize, which I always do. I grinded a lot, with a lot more flights with max marketing and made almost $3 million, so now it's time to expand. The short routes were draining my sanity and also our stock price, so to grow the airline faster, I wanted to switch to 4-hour flights which would reduce the frequent departing. Don't mind the Cessna, I bought it for experimenting some stopover routes, which I'll sell now along with all the other small aircraft on the fleet that are currently used on short routes. The selling price for all the planes were very low, and it was not ideal to sell them, since they're actually new, but we needed cash to expand into the longer routes. The DC-910s fetched the highest amount, almost $350,000 for each plane. So now all I was left with was the B-727s, which I wanted to modify into a mixed configuration from just business and first class. They were very good long-distance planes, so I also reduced fuel consumption, which is totally worth it, and modified both the planes for $400,000 each. I was now left with a $4 million balance, which is a pretty skinny wallet when you're shopping for planes. My first go-to manufacturer was Boeing, because they had the best range for my situation. Any aircraft from 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers of range was good enough, but they were very expensive, so to save money, I was looking at the other section of the plane's list. That's when the CV-880 caught my eye, with the 4,600 kilometer range, 110 passengers capacity, and the astonishingly low $1 million price tag. Looking at all the enticing specs of the plane, I didn't look at the fuel guzzling feature of it. That was gonna bite me in the back later. I had enough money for 2 CV-880 planes configured in a mixed configuration, so I bought them with a 50-18-8 configuration, which was just a little less seating capacity than the Boeing 727. I waited for the planes to be delivered and modified, so I can start assigning routes to them and continue the flights. Every day we don't fly, we still pay our staff, so at this stage, we should be flying as many flights as possible. Always claim the bi-weekly gift. Now, we were running very low on fuel, and fuel price was very cheap, so I bought almost $1 million of fuel. It's generally best to buy even more, since we're doing long routes. Normally, fuel prices are way above $1,000, and whenever you can buy fuel at prices like $400 to $500, you want to buy it in bulk, like $4 to $5 million worth of it. As usual, our stock price crashed badly because of our decrease in bank balance. But we're not going to worry about it because we spent the money on some brand new planes. Our next step is to assign long-range routes to the CV-880's and the Boeing 727s. I wanted to have routes with 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers, so it'll take 4 hours for the flight. This means I'll only have to depart once in 4 hours, so it reduces the number of times I have to depart in a day. Good for my sanity, I guess. After scanning for good routes for some time, I ended up on choosing a flight route to Florida for my Boeing 727. The route fees is always costly for long routes. I set the price a little lesser than the auto price, which was going to prove to be my second dumbest ever mistake. I think I should get a counter for my dumbest ever mistakes. I played with the cost index to get me a 4-hour flight time, renamed the flights, and then created the route. I did the same with the other 727, this time a flight route from Los Angeles to Cincinnati. This flight route was 3,000 kilometers, and with almost the same route fees. I set the flight time to 4 hours for the coordinated flights and created the route. And of course, I set the ticket prices too high, a little lesser than the auto price, repeating the dumb mistake. Next up was the CV-880's, for which I did the same thing all over again. Long routes for both the planes, with the destinations airports being King Salmon and Ottawa International. I set the flight times to 4 hours, renamed the routes, and again did the same dumb mistake of overpricing the tickets, thinking I'll use maximum marketing. Now that I had all my flights assigned routes, I was left with just $380,000 in the bank. So I did what I thought was best and bought an eco-friendly marketing campaign and the cheapest airline reputation campaign. Remember, earlier I set the ticket prices thinking I'll buy the maximum marketing? Well, I didn't adjust the prices lower. So when I departed, all I got was a disappointing $290,000, which doesn't even pay for the marketing costs. When I checked the flight summary, I realized the pricing was just way too high. In fact, the prices were so high, my Boeing 727s had 0 economy passengers. That was at least $25,000 of economy revenue down the drain. We need to fix the prices fast. Our losses were very heavy, and we were losing money on each flight. Moreover, we were running out of fuel too. We had messed up so badly this time. We have a very low bank balance and should do something quick, or else the airline will go into bankruptcy. And that's the end of this video. Subscribe and stay tuned to watch how we make our airline profitable in the next episode.